Hi students, so today we are going to look at habitat, planning habitat, and our motive is to identify that most living things live in habitats to which they are suited and describe how different habitats provide for the basic needs of different kind of animals and plants and how they depend on each other. So now before we start, I would like us to look at this picture and then I would like us to look at this picture and then I want you to think, okay? Look at the forest. This is a land habitat. You can see there are many trees and there are many plants within this environment. So what do you think might happen? What do you think might happen if all the trees were cut down and all the plants that are there were all cut down? What do you think might happen to the animals that were living in that area? Do you think they would get something to feed on? And how about the birds that lives up on the tree? Do you think they would still have a home? So I want you to think about that. So as we are thinking, let's reflect back on the topic that we learned, a habitat. A habitat is a place where plants and animals live. So I think now so far you are able to describe what a habitat is. So a habitat is a place where plants and animals live. Plants and animals live in different kind of habitat. So a habitat can be hot or cold. A habitat can be wet or dry too. Plants and animals can only live in habitats that meet their needs. Remember we said that a habitat refers to a specific place where plants and animals live, okay? That is their specific environment, okay? So, as I asked you earlier, what do you think might happen if all these trees were cut down, all the plants within this place were cut down, okay? What do you think might happen to the animals that were living in this region? Would they still have something to eat? Would they still have plants? I mean, would the birds have a place to live in? Because most of the birds tree. So that is for you to think. Okay. So we have building habitats, okay? And before we start, let's look at this word box, endangered. What do you understand by the word endangered? When you hear the word endangered, what comes into your mind? Can you think about that? So endangered means, for example, when an animal lives in a specific area, like for example, pandas, okay? When the human come down and they cut down the trees and then they don't have food to eat, okay, they're in a serious risk, they're at risk, okay? So endangered means as seriously at risk. If an animal or a species is at a serious risk, their life is endangered, okay? So when these plants and animals are at a risk of extinction, the word extinction means to they will no longer exist, okay, like to disappear, they will no longer exist, extinction. So if any species, for example plants or animals that are in a risk of extinction because of a sudden reduction, if something reduces, the sudden reduce in population, so like for example pandas, okay, if they suddenly reduce in numbers simply because their habitat has been interfered with, people come and cut down the trees, they don't have what to feed, they don't have food to feed on, and even some of them are being killed, they are endangered. So now I think I've explained the word endangered. So zoos provide the right habitat for many different types of animals, okay? Some of the zoo animals may be endangered. So now I think you understand what endangered means, which means there are not many of these type of animals still alive in the world, okay? So I think I've explained endangered means when when there is some species like plants or animals are in a serious extinct, okay? They are almost disappearing. Their numbers have reduced, okay? And since the numbers are reducing, there might be some factors that might lead to them reducing, like cutting down the trees, or maybe they don't have enough food, okay? And then this may make them die because they don't have food, or water in that region has reduced, or the plants no longer exist because the weather has changed, and this may make them to be endangered. So look at the picture of a panda. Pandas eat only one plant, a bamboo, okay? So pandas are endangered because humans now use most of the land where bamboos once grew. So now, do you understand? Imagine the bamboos were growing all over in that region, and then humans come and then they cut down all the bamboos. Do you think as will still have food to feed on? They will not have anything to eat because their bamboos have been cut down. This is one of their main food that they feed on, so they will die because of hunger, and that means they are endangered, and that one means they will soon go to an extinct in which their numbers will reduce and reduce, and then with time we will not have pandas, okay, in that region. Okay, so nice. So now I think I've explained what that is. So another question comes in, okay, can you try and list one or two animals that are endangered? So I would like you to do your research. Think of at least one or two animals that may be endangered, okay? Yes, so you think of them and then you write them down. Okay, so as we continue, so let's think, okay? Let's ask ourselves some questions. I want you to imagine that this is a water habitat. This is an ocean, okay? If the ocean, if the amount of water in the ocean goes reducing, okay, plants and animals that lives in the ocean, what do you think might happen? Okay, so that is your answer, but I would like you to write something